Hi there, thank you so much for joining me. This is Julie DiMatteo from thepaperpixie.com, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable diamond box that perfectly fits things like 2 tea lights. It'll fit a Ferrero Rocher, a Lindor truffle. It's a great little size. It measures 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And I absolutely love this box. I've created a previous video tutorial of a diamond box like this, just in a larger size, and that utilized the gift bag punch board, but this one we don't need the punch board to create. So let me show you how easy this is to make. We're gonna start with a piece of shaded spruce cardstock that measures 3 inches by 6.5 inches. And along the 3-inch side, we're gonna score this at 1.5 and 2 3/8. Then I'm gonna rotate it clockwise so that that 1.5 inch section is along the top. And we're gonna score this, but only down to that first horizontal score line at 1.5 inches, 3 inches, 4.5 inches, and 6 inches. Then I'm gonna rotate it 180 degrees so that the 5/8 inch section is along the top. And I'm going to score this only down to the first horizontal score line at 1 1/4, 2 3/4, 4 1/4, and 5 3/4. All right, now let me show you a template here. We're next going to score on the diagonal to connect the upper score lines with the lower score lines at a 45-degree angle. So you want to grab your stylus from the Simply Scored and then grab a ruler. The best way to score these diagonal lines is to put your stylus where you want it to start, bring your ruler to the stylus, and make sure that you're just slightly to the left of where you want to score, and then score on the diagonal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to score on the diagonal all the way down. This diagonal score line here, we're going to line up with the edge of the cardstock. And then this is not a score line, this is where we're actually going to cut the paper. So let me go ahead and do those diagonal score lines. All right, now those are all done. And next we're going to fold and burnish on the horizontal score lines. I'm also going to fold this top one backwards, like so. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to cut up these vertical score lines along the bottom, stopping at that first horizontal score line. And then we're going to remove this narrow section here, but I'm also going to cut off this at an angle. So I'm going to cut from the score line down to that tab, just cutting that off. Doesn't need to be perfect because we're not going to see that, but the angled cut is going to make this box go together nicely. So now I'm going to fold on the diagonal score lines just gently, and also pinch on these top score lines, and you'll see that kind of go together like so. I'm going to do that all the way down. All right, like so. So now we can go ahead and put our box together. I'm going to bring in some liquid glue for this. We're basically going to meet this end here and overlap it to the other end. Now we want to take the piece with the straight edge and put that over the top of the piece with the diagonal edge. And the best way to line this up is to line up the edge and both score lines. So what I'm going to do to make sure I get glue in the right spots, I'm just going to put liquid glue just right there along the edge on the outside of the box. Then I'm going to put liquid glue along the inside down to that diagonal score line here. And we're just going to overlap these. Now the liquid glue helps us kind of slide it into place. But again, I'm lining up the score lines. This cut here as well. And then the top cut edge. All right, so now we've got the seam along the back. Now it's time to put together the bottom. To the right of the seam, that's going to be the second to last flap that we put down. So I'll fold in the side flap, put some glue on it, fold the one opposite it next, then this back flap, which is the one closest to the seam, and then this front flap. Now since this is liquid glue, we can go ahead and kind of slide everything into place. I'm just squaring that bottom up as best I can. Then we can press from the inside with our glue bottle to make sure that that base is all adhered. So there is the base of our diamond box. How cute is that? I love it. All right, let's make the lid. We're going to use a piece of Garden Impressions Designer Series paper, and this is just a hair larger than 2 3/4. So it's really about a 32nd of an inch. So halfway between the 1/16 inch increments, larger than 2 3/4. And that's just gonna make sure that our lid fits perfectly on top of the box. I'm gonna bring in the Simply Scored again, and we're just gonna score this at 5/8 of an inch on all 4 sides. Next, we're gonna fold and burnish on all of those score lines. And then here's a template. We're gonna create 4 tabs. So I'm gonna cut up the vertical score lines, stopping at the horizontal score line, and I'm gonna notch in those slightly, just cutting a little sliver off, and we're gonna do that to both sides. Okay, now that that's done, we can glue these tabs. I'm gonna line up this score line with this cut edge to form the corners of our box lid. I'm just gonna use liquid glue for that, and we'll do that to all 4 tabs. All right, now we'll make sure that our lid fits over the top. There we go, perfect fit. Let's do a little bit of stamping. We're using the Darling Label stamp set from the Darling Label punch box. I'm going to stamp that in Pacific Point on soft seafoam. And then I'm going to use the Darling Label punch and punch out the sentiment. And here are the other sentiments in that stamp set. All of these coordinate with that Darling Label punch. I love this stamp set. Again, that's the Darling Label punch box. And then I'm just going to grab dimensionals to put on the back of the sentiment here. Pay attention to where the seam is, and we'll place that right on the lid. All right, I'm going to grab a couple of rhinestones to put in the center of the flowers. And go ahead and add our tea lights or Ferrero Rocher or whatever you want to put in this beautiful box. And then I'm going to decorate it with some ribbon. Now we're going to use the 1/8 of an inch blueberry bushel ribbon. The coordinating color in this paper is actually Pacific Point, but the blueberry bushel goes with it really nicely. And I'm going to grab some mini glue dots, and we're going to kind of fake a bow here. Pick up a glue dot on the end here, and then I'm going to place that on the front side of our box, kind of in the center. Press that into place, then I'm just going to snugly wrap that around the box. I'm going to snip it off where those 2 ends would meet. Just going to pick up another glue dot for that other end. Again, wrap it around. So there'll be a little seam there. We're about to hide that with a bow. So I'm going to go ahead and create a little tiny bow here, a little bunny ears bow. And we're going to pick up a glue dot on the back of the bow knot. And then we'll place that right over that little ribbon seam that we created to make it look like we tied a bow around that box lid. So there we go. We have this adorable mini diamond box. I love it with this set of colors and the paper and the stamp set. A beautiful little table favor or treat for a friend. It's just a really adorable box. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. If you're interested in purchasing any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used today, they'll be linked in the description. And I'll also include a link to my detailed blog post, which will include all project details, measurements, and pictures of the templates I shared with you today. I'd love to have you come visit me at thepaperpixie.com, where I post post projects every weekday to inspire you. I have options to subscribe to both my daily blog updates as well as my monthly newsletter, and I'd love to welcome you as a new subscriber. You can shop with me anytime at thepaperpixie.com/shop, and if you're interested in earning a discount on your Stampin' Up! Purchases, I'd love to have you join my team of Paper Pixies, and you can purchase the starter kit at thepaperpixie.com/join. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Take care. Bye.